to get to the point to where the line between being a great budget phone and an underwhelming flagship phone is getting thinner and thinner. Times are kind of hard right now. Gas is the new gold. The cost of living is through the roof. The people in charge have absolutely no clue what they're doing, and a dollar is worth monitoring. Really, people just want the best bang for their buck, and I think that's exactly what the Google Pixel 6a is looking to be. It's a fingerprint magnet. It's a lot of fingerprints, a lot of wiping. We have a 6.1-inch OLED display with Gorilla Glass 3 and a 60 Hz refresh rate, which a lot of people are not too thrilled about right now. For me personally, Android 12 seems pretty damn smooth. I don't even notice it when I'm using the phone, so I could care less. Only 18-watt max charging, which I have to admit feels pretty slow. And also we don't get any wireless charging, which, call me old school, but if I have the choice of plugging in my phone or putting it down and wireless charging, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably gonna plug it in. Number one, I could still continue to use my phone while it's plugged in, and it charges faster with a cable. Now I have 3 phone lines on my T-Mobile account, and the Google Pixel 6a is being used as my daily driver for my business phone, which comes with me everywhere. I tested out the new Google Wallet app and worked perfectly with no issues. I set alarms with this phone, I'm answering emails using Spark, I'm occasionally on YouTube, a little bit of TikTok and Instagram. The screen looks great. I don't really notice the refresh rate at all. And I'm really liking the extra dim mode that you can enable to get your screen super dark when you're looking at your phone at nighttime. It's pretty nice, doesn't hurt your eyes. I got really light sensitive eyes, okay? The fingerprint sensor is fine. If you keep your screen clean and you wipe all the oil and gook off of your thumb before you rest it down and you don't mash it into the screen, works fine. It's not the fastest I've ever used, but you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not a deal breaker by any means. I've seen a lot of people complaining about it. Works fine. Maybe some updates as time goes by will improve it little by little, but for right now, it's not a deal breaker for me. Android 12 feels really smooth and snappy. I said this once before and I'll say it again. At one point, iOS was the king of smooth transitions and animations and stuff like that. But I think Google knocked it out the park with Android 12 and soon to be Android 13. Everything feels super smooth. Every swipe left, right, up or down just has a really nice animation. And yeah, I think Google is the team to beat now when it comes to that department. The Tensor chip works really well. Object removal in the Photos app performs just as good as it did on my Google Pixel 6 Pro. One thing I would like Google to figure out is how they can have third-party app developers have their app icon change when you choose to theme your icon within the settings. There's no way in hell that I could have like 1 or 2 unthemed icons in a full home screen full of themed icons. You get what I'm saying here? It will drive my OCD up the wall, which in turn, because of my OCD, I'll have to clean the wall because of my fingerprints being on it. So I'd like to see some themed icons from somebody else besides Google. That's what I'm trying to say here. All right, let's talk cameras.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause
How you doing, buddy?
It's my head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is.
Quick camera comparison. This is the front-facing camera on the Google Pixel 6a. I don't think that this is in 4K. It doesn't really tell you when you're using the front-facing camera. It doesn't tell you what resolution you're at. If you're hearing some wind, sorry, we're using the onboard microphones. All right, let's check out the rear main cameras. All right, now we're looking at the main rear camera. Again, sorry about the wind. I could just feel it. I can imagine what this footage is going to sound like. Now, this is 4K, 30 frames per second. I'm gonna say something that I say every single Pixel review. I really wish that Google and Android phones would have 24 frame per second options in them. I know Sony smartphones do. I'd really like to see the camera app on Pixel phones moving forward actually be less simple. They seem like they're basically for soccer moms that know nothing about smartphones or cameras or settings or anything like that. I'd at least like to have some kind of pro mode option. Pixel phones pride themselves on their cameras, and they're fantastic cameras, but you don't really have too much control over it. Now we can switch to the ultra wide on the fly, which I just did. What do you guys think of this? I like the ultra wide camera on this. Interestingly, the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro were 0.5 times, whereas the ultra wide on this is 0.6, so I guess this is just a little bit tighter. Now, one thing I do know is the stabilization is pretty great. Does a really decent job at stabilizing your handheld footage. All my test shots have been handheld. I haven't used a gimbal with this camera once, and I think it looks pretty good. Now, one thing I'm definitely missing on the Pixel 6a is the telephoto lens from the Pixel 6 Pro. That was probably my favorite part of that whole camera system. There was just something really special about that telephoto lens. Now, of course, I didn't expect it to be on this camera. I didn't expect a triple camera setup on a budget smartphone like this at this price point, but just putting it out there, I miss it. So I'm getting an overheating warning. It's not overheated yet, but it says device is too hot, may affect video quality. So I guess it really dumbs down the image quality when it starts to heat up, I guess to prevent it from stopping recording completely. Now on the ultra wide, we don't have 4K at 60 frames per second. We're locked in at 30, but on the main shooter, we do have 4K at 60 frames per second. Stills look great as always. Videos are pretty good. Not the best I've seen in a smartphone, but if all you're shooting is some personal stuff or TikTok or IG videos, it'll look as good as anything else people are uploading with. If this was just 2 or 3 years ago, this phone would be considered a flagship beast. But this industry just moves so fast now that it's more along the lines of a top tier budget phone. Does this have all the bells and whistles? No, absolutely not, but it was never meant to. I applaud Google for giving us a phone at this price that outperforms what the spec sheet says and looks almost exactly like their flagships to the untrained eye. The only two real complaints that I have about this phone is for me, again, and I will continuously say this year after year until they do something about it, no 24 frames per second while shooting video. Again, there's just something with Android. It's not a popular frame rate when it comes to Android. I don't know why, but be nice if we could figure this out somehow. And the other thing is, honestly, the 18 watt max charging speeds they feel a little bit slow in 2022, even for a budget phone. Besides that, this phone will remain as one of my daily drivers until the 7 Pro comes out, I guess. Thank you, Google, for sending over the Pixel 6a. Thank you guys for watching. Team Pixel, hashtag gift from Google, all that good stuff. Thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah!